Hello and welcome to week 27 of the Ray of Hope Crochet Along, and this week we're making the leaf stitch. So this is a really nice stitch for adding some kind of 3D embellishments to your projects without having to sew anything extra on. So how do we make it? Okay, so for this stitch we're going to be using a 3.5mm hook, and we're going to start our first two rows as we usually do. So chain 22, and then in the fourth chain from your hook make a double crochet and double crochet in each stitch across. That turning chain counts as a stitch, so you'll have 20 stitches. Then turn chain 1 and make the alternate turning chain 2 together over the first 2 stitches. Double crochet in each stitch until you have 2 stitches left, and then double crochet 2 together over the last stitch to give you 18 stitches. So at row 3 we're going to start our leaves. So we're going to turn and chain 1. Make the alternate turning chain in the first stitch. Just put one stitch marker up. Okay, and then we're going to double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so now we're going to make our first leaf. I'm going to do that by just making a chain above this double crochet. So we're going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So we've got a nice long chain. And the beauty with this stitch is that you can play around and make your leaves longer or shorter, and you can play around the stitches in the chain. So you can make nice fat ones, nice thin ones. You can make whatever shape leaf you like by just changing the stitches that you make in the chain and the length of the chain. So mine are going to be a little bit on the skinny side, but it'll show you how the technique works. So in the second chain from your hook we're going to make a slip stitch. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch in each chain down. Okay, so you're going to have 11 slip stitches. I'll just split my yarn. Hang on. Try that one again. Try and keep your slip stitches loose as you're going to be working into them again in a bit. Okay, so you can have 10 slip stitches down this chain. And this just means that we can start our leaf at the bottom of the chain, and then when we finish it, because we're working on both sides of this, that will end up back down at the bottom here. So you might find it useful to put a stitch marker in the first chain from your double crochet just to keep track of it. But you should have 10 slip stitches, 9 and 10. Okay, so then what you're going to do, you're going to turn and you're going to slip stitch into the other side of your chain and slip stitch through there. Okay, so in the next stitch on the other side of that chain we started with, you're going to make a single crochet. Okay, and then another single crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to make two half double crochets, just one in each stitch. So half double crochet in the next stitch, and then half double crochet in the next stitch, then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. So that's now the middle of the leaf, and that's as thick as I'm going to make this one. Then half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and single crochet in the last 2. So that last single crochet will be in the 11th chain from your hook. Okay, so it just comes out and down. So if you want a thicker leaf, you just add some trebles into the middle instead. Okay, so we're going to turn and we're going to start on the opposite side. So this will be where we'll be working into our slip stitches. So we're just going to slip stitch into the first one. It goes in there. Okay. And then we're going to single crochet. Then single crochet into the next stitch. So we're just mirroring what we did on the other side. Half double crochet into the next one. Can be a little bit tricky to see where your stitches go, but as long as you're working down, you'll be absolutely fine. And then a double crochet in the next two stitches. This is why it's important to keep them loose, so it's just easier to work into them, to these slip stitches as we go down. Okay, and then half double crochet in the next two, and single crochet in the last two. Single, and then this very last one is another single. And there's the leaf. Okay, so we need to get back so we can work more double crochets into this row. So the double crochet you started with here, this is the top of the loops, go through that top loop, then you want to go through the side as well. Then yarn over and pull through all the loops. And that brings you back to the top, and then we can double crochet in the next stitch. And we're back working in that row. So this is kind of a great way to do like applique pieces, but without having to sew anything on. It's quite a handy way of adding some really nice 3D detail. Okay, so now we're going to make another 8 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So now we're going to make another leaf. So chain 11 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we're going to make it exactly the same as we did the first one. So in the second chain from your hook, make a slip stitch. And then slip stitch all the way down, but try and keep those slip stitches loose so that you can work into them easily later. Okay, so you should have 10 slip stitches in total down your chain. The last one. So it can be handy to use stitch markers in the first and last chains that you're using, just to keep track of the stitches. So then I'm going to turn, and into that first chain on the opposite side we're going to slip stitch. Okay. In the next stitch you're going to make a single crochet. Single crochet in the next stitch as well. And this is all working onto the opposite side of where you just did all those slip stitches. Okay, Then you're going to make a half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then double crochet in the next 2, 1 and 2, and then half double crochet, and 2 of those, right, splitting yarn into there, there we go, and then a single crochet in the last 2 chains, 1 and goes in there. Okay, so then into that first slip stitch you did on the opposite side, you're going to slip stitch into it, then a single crochet in the next one, and another single crochet. So there's 2 of every stitch down, going down the sides. Then next stitch, half double crochet, and another one in the next stitch, double crochet in the next 2 stitches, one and 2, then half double crochet in the next 2, 1 and 2, and then single crochet in the last 2 stitches. Where's my other loop gone? There we go. 1 and 2. Okay, so now we need to join so we can work back into this double crochet of that we started the chain on. So go through the top loops and through the side of the stitch, and yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Okay, so that brings us back so we can finish this row a double crochet. Okay, so now we're going to double crochet in the last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and there's our leaves. So as I say, you can play around with these to make them longer, shorter, thicker or thinner, as you prefer. It's a really nice one to play around with. Okay, so rows 4 to 10 are double crochet. So turn, chain 1, and then make the alternate turning chain in your first stitch. And we're going to do rows 4 to 10 as we did the plain Rayleigh applique stitch. So double crochet for 3 rows, and then decrease. Okay, but I'll show you this row because it can be easy to miss the double crochet you made the leaf in, so you need to make sure you get that stitch, and it's easier to work on the right hand side of it than the left. So kind of just push the leaf to one side and just get into those loops and double crochet, and then double crochet as normal in the rest of the stitches. Okay, so I'll show you the other one as well. So you should have 18 double crochet in this row, so it's a good idea to count just to make sure you didn't miss the stitch that the leaves were made from. some more yarn. Okay, so you can see the double crochet before the stitch you made a leaf from. Put that under there. Okay, and here is the double crochet your leaf was made from. So I prefer to go in from the right hand side, and then you can just push your hook through where the top loops are. You might not see them very clearly, but just make sure you get your hook in there, and then just finish the row. So just double check by counting, you got 18 double crochet, and then you should be absolutely fine. Okay, so that's row 4. So row 5 is another row of double crochet. Row 6, you're going to make a decrease row. So you're going to decrease down to 16 stitches. Double crochet in the next 3 rows, and row 10 is another decrease row. So down to 14 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do those, and I shall see you when I get to the end of row 10. And in row 11 we're going to start another pair of leaves. So I shall be back in a moment. Okay, so I finished row 10, which is a decrease row, and now on row 11 we're going to make another pair of leaves. You can see I've left my leaves floating free, but if you wanted to you could tack them down in place by just sewing them onto the top, or in one of these rows just slip stitch through onto the back to hold it down, but I'm just leaving mine fancy free. Okay, so row 11, you're going to turn and chain 1 and make the alternate turning chain in the first stitch. Just bring the stitch marker up. Okay, and we're going to double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now we're going to make another leaf. I'm going to make them exactly the same way as I did in row 3. Really the only difference with this row is how many double crochet we have between our leaves. But I will go through the leaves again. So we're going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In the second chain from your hook, you're going to slip stitch. Okay, so remember to keep your slip stitches loose so you can work back into them later. And then slip stitch in each chain down. So you should have 10 slip stitches when you're finished. And the last one. Okay, so now on the opposite side you're going to slip stitch into the other side of that first chain. Okay, so in the next stitch you're going to make a single crochet and a single crochet in the next stitch as well, half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, double crochet in the next 2, then half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet, single crochet in the last 2 stitches. Okay, so now you're going to be working on the opposite side, and in that first slip stitch you made, you're going to slip stitch. Okay, so then in the next stitch you're going to single crochet in the next stitch as well. Let's grab some more yarn. Half double crochet in the next two, double crochet in the next two, oops, okay, then half double in the next two, and then you're going to single crochet in the last two. My second half double, then a single in the last two. And that last stitch will be kind of curled up on the front because that's where you went over and slip stitch on the opposite side. Okay, so that's twisted round. So I'll just get back to the front. And now we need to join back into the double crochet. So into the top loop, so just the front loop only, and then through the side of the stitch. Then yarn over and pull through all the loops. Okay, so there's our leaf. And we're now joined back into that double crochet so we can carry on with the row. So now we're going to double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then we're going to make our final leaf from this stitch. So chain 11 and then make another leaf. So I'm going to go do that and I shall come back to you and we'll finish the row and I'll show you what we're doing with the rest of the row. Okay, so I finished my final leaf and I'm just going to join it back into that double crochet we started the leaf from. So through the top loop, through the side, and then stitch them together. Okay, so now I'm going to double crochet in the last 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And there we go. That's 2 sets of leaves for the ray. Okay, so for the rest of the ray is going to be just plain double crochet. Okay, so your decreases are going to be in rows 14, 18, 22, 26, 30, 34 and 38, and you're going to have 39 rows in total. Okay, so just remember for the next row, row 12, double check that you will double crochet in the stitch that the leaf came from. Okay, so you should have 14 double crochet in that row. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with that and I shall see you when I get to the end of the ray and I shall tell you what we're doing with the slip stitch border. Okay, so I finished my ray and as you can see I've left my leaves to float free, but you can tack them down in 2 or 3 rows above and you just kind of slip stitch through the back to secure them if you want to. Okay, so for the slip stitch border you're going to make a slip stitch in each stitch across the bottom. You'll have 20 slip stitches and you're going to make 2 slip stitches into the side of every double crochet row. So remember that last row, you make 2 slip stitches in one side and 1 slip stitch in the other. So you're going to have 78 slip stitches down one side and 77 down the other. And once you've done that, you can weave in your ends and join it to last week's piece. So I hope you like that, and I shall see you next week for week 28. Bye for now.